Okay. So, well, today we're gonna, well, first thing we're gonna review this worksheet that you had, and then we're gonna cover, since we have finished off with the uses of commas, periods, and semicolons, we're just gonna be looking at transition words now that we're missing, and then hyphens and parentheses, basically, or dashes. And then today I'm gonna assign you the writing already, the first writing for this motion. So I'm gonna assign you a writing. It's not gonna, the content is not gonna count that much. It's more gonna be the grammar that we've seen. It's more punctuation, transitions, connectors that we're gonna see. And yes, and that's gonna be your first assignment.
Okay. The assignment will be for class or for home?
No, it will be for home. The final one will be in class and for home. For this
Okay.
one. Okay. So remember,
We'll have like 4 paragraphs.
yes, it will be sort of like an essay. So it'll have an intro and a conclusion. That's 2 paragraphs. And you will have to have at least 2 body paragraphs, but you can have more. You can have 2 or 3.
Okay. Okay.
It'll not be for, I mean, it'll be due when, no, today is Wednesday, right? So it'll be due Friday. So you will have 2 days.
Okay.
Okay. So, but let's review these. So, okay, can you tell me some of the uses of commas?
Mm, to separate words
Of course, yeah, to separate words. What
from
kind of words or when?
words and words, like 2 words.
Like any 2 words?
No, could be months, dates.
Okay. So basically words in a list, right?
Yes.
Okay, what else? Why else? I mean, when else do we use commas?
To separate adjectives.
Okay, yes, when you have more than 2 adjectives. What else?
To separate two
Sentences, you sure?
uh, phrases, clauses, maybe.
Okay, what type of clauses?
Uh, independent clauses.
2 independent clauses?
Yes.
Are you sure? So you
It
can say,
it
I
depends.
like chocolate. I don't like coffee. Is this correct?
No, dependent clauses.
2 dependent clauses. Like, can you give me an example?
I like chocolate, coffee, and bread.
Okay. I like chocolate, coffee, and bread.
Also coffee.
All right, but is this, I mean, are you separating 2 clauses here or nouns?
Nouns.
You all right?
Yes, no clauses. Could be I like chocolate. Uh, with um and also milk instead of water.
And also,
Milk instead of water.
okay, and where do you use the comma here?
Um, after, no, before the chocolate.
Really? Are you sure? I like comma chocolate.
No, sorry, after chocolate. Sorry,
Okay. Are you sure though?
you're not
Um,
sure.
I mean, think of this. So you're telling me first that you can use it to separate 2 independent clauses. These are 2 independent clauses, right? Is this
Yes,
correct?
I guess no. No.
Okay, no, it's not correct. What would you do to make it correct?
Uh, I don't like chocolate and I don't like coffee.
Okay, I don't like, well, let's just say I like chocolate. Here, instead of the comma, I can put and.
Yes, you could.
Okay, now is that correct?
I like chocolate and I don't like coffee. I think it's a missing comma there. Yes.
Okay, where do I put the comma?
After chocolate in the first, yes.
Okay, now there you go, that's correct. So, okay, this one here, is this a clause? Also milk instead of water? Is that a clause? The underlined part?
Could be.
No, it's not a clause. Come on.
No, because it doesn't make sense. Just this sentence. This also milk instead of water.
But that's not the indicator for whether it's a clause or not. I mean, an independent clause has to make sense on its own. A dependent clause needs another clause. But the thing,
Uh,
in order for it to be a clause, it needs to have a subject and a predicate. Remember? A
mhm.
phrase is what you're saying, also milk instead of water. It doesn't have a subject, it doesn't have a verb.
Mhm.
That's just a phrase. A clause needs to have a subject and a predicate. Like this one, I don't like coffee, that's a clause. Or I
But
like chocolate.
that's why we separate with a comma because there are two independent classes because they have two subjects and two verbs.
Exactly, you use a comma. But
Uh-huh.
you only separate two independent clauses with
Uh-huh.
a comma when you're using a fanboy. Remember, a coordinating conjunction. Like
Yes.
and, like that, like so, like or, right? But you can never separate two independent clauses with a comma without a fanboy, right? You cannot do this. This is incorrect now.
No, now it's incorrect. Yes.
It needs to have any fanboy. So it could be for, it could be and, nor, but, or yet, right? So I like chocolate, yet I don't like, right? Now this is totally incorrect because this is not a clause. So there's no need of using the comma there. So like chocolate and also milk instead of water.
Could be I like chocolate and I also like
Yes.
milk instead of water.
Now there you go. There you need a comma.
Uh-huh.
So yeah,
So
think
yeah.
about that. So there's one more use of commas.
Um, like you said in the last class to separate the states.
Right. Okay, yes, with places and dates.
Mhm.
And there's one more use. I mean, the three more important uses will be this one here. Okay, I'm gonna rethink. All right, so now this is in bold. This is in bold. And there's one more use.
Mm, no, I don't remember.
Like, for example, if I want to say, um, commas, as a matter of fact, are one of best. Or okay, maybe
You don't believe me. When we use ly,
when you use adverbs,
yeah.
yeah, I mean, sometimes. But the thing about the reason why I'm using commas there is because I'm interrupting the usual structure of a sentence, right? You need the subject, commas, and the verb are. So commas are one of the best punctuation marks you can use. That's the main idea. Now, when you add something that changes that, for example, this phrase here at the beginning, where it should be at the end. So commas are one of the best punctuation marks you can use, even if you don't believe. So the complement needs to go at the end. I mean, not needs to, but in the usual way. And the same here, right? So when we change the usual structure.
Mm-hmm.
So
here we're using two commas. Even if you don't believe me, commas, fortunately, are one of the best punctuation marks you can use.
yes. So, I mean, this word, fortunately, here is interrupting the flow. It's like, you can also place it here. I think it sounds better when you place it here. So even if you don't believe me, commas are, fortunately, one of the best punctuation marks you can use.
Mm-hmm.
So this fortunately is interrupting the commas are one of the best punctuation marks. So that's why I'm putting it between commas. I would do the same with this one, but I don't need to place a comma here because that's the beginning of the sentence. Right?
Mm-hmm.
So that's why I'm using two.
Okay.
You could also say, if it's a thought, an afterthought, you could say commas are fortunately one of the best punctuation marks you can use. Or you can also use dashes. So you can also say that.
Okay.
So when we change the use of structure, those are the uses of commas, the most common ones. Now, a semicolon, when do you use it?
To separate two, I mean, not two different ideas, but a clone who has two longer ideas, maybe.
Okay, yes, to separate two ideas, but what are the name of those ideas?
Talking about the same thing.
Yeah, but what do they need to be?
How?
Like what type of, I mean, they are, if you're talking about ideas, they need to be clauses, right?
Independent clauses.
Good, so two independent clauses.
Yes.
So what would be the difference between a comma and a semicolon to separate two independent clauses?
It gives you more space
No.
to breathe.
No. You don't have a found word without a coordinated conjunction or a found, right?
Yes.
You could say, I like milk, but I don't like water. Or I like milk, semicolon, I don't like water. So there's no difference in terms of, I mean, reading or even meaning. It's just the grammar part. So if you are using a coordinating conjunction, but a fanboy, one of these.
We can use a semicolon.
Or you could also use a period, right? I like milk.
Yes.
I don't like. So yeah, obviously the difference between a semicolon and a period is that the period is a longer pause. So it's probably not related. And what else? I mean, what's another use of semicolons?
Wow. I don't remember. I mean, for me, what I remember is to separate two independent classes.
Okay. So you must remember, it's not that important, to be honest. We're not going to put it in bold. So they also act like super commas, right? When you have a list, a complicated list with more than just one comma. So
Okay. Maybe when you separate states.
yes, with separate states.
Uh-huh. I remember that.
Okay, so that's the most important part. Periods are just periods. They are used to separate sentences. So whatever it is, it could be a compound sentence with more than one clause, a simple sentence. They just separate sentences. That's the only use that it has. Or they can also separate paragraphs, but they're still sentences. So okay, so with that being said, I don't know if we have time to check these. We probably should hurry up.
Okay.
Maybe I should check it. Maybe we can check the first part and I'll check the rest.
Okay.
So all of the chocolate cookies are gone, comma, but I saved one just for you. That's perfect because it's a fanboy. So you're using a comma. Now the floor in the movie theater was covered with popcorn, cola.
Oh, I forgot Coca chocolate. I'm sorry.
All right. So how
Yes.
would it be?
The floor in the movie theater was covered with popcorn, cola, chocolate, and pieces of dried squid.
Nice. Okay, so because it rained yesterday, the hiking trail was low, slippery, and dangerous. Okay, so this is correct, but there's one comma missing here.
Okay, could be because it rained yesterday, the hiking trail was low, slippery, and dangerous.
Because I'm using because at the beginning of the sentence. I don't know if you
Yes.
remember. It is a
Yes,
subordinate conjunction.
fanboy.
It's not a fanboy.
It's not. I mean, it's not a fanboy, but it's not
Fanboy?
for.
Yeah, it's like when, like if. It's one
Uh-huh.
of those.
For.
They're called subordinating conjunctions.
Uh-huh.
But in terms, like speaking just in simple terms, it should be at the end. The hiking trail was low because it rained yesterday. The subject, the hiking trail, the verb, and then the complement. So if the complement is at the beginning,
Okay. Mm-hmm.
so feeling strong and energetic, I decided to climb mountain, cross the river. Okay, that's perfect. Great. All right, so you're using a comma because this is the complement and it should go at the end. And I like that you're not using a comma here because even though this has a verb, it doesn't have a subject. So if it doesn't have a subject, it's not a complete clause. It's not too late to change your lifestyle habits and increase your chances for a longer, fitter life. This is perfect. But what about this?
No, it's wrong because it doesn't have a verb.
It has a verb, it doesn't have a subject.
Oh, yes. It doesn't have a subject. Yes.
Many composers wrote beautiful music, but nobody was better than Bach. But yeah, Bach. The police officer turned his head. The crowd jumped over the fence. Great. So subject, verb, the crowd jumped. If the complement is at the beginning, you need a comma. Nice. Okay. Right then. So the final thing we need to see is okay. So these coordinating conjunctions were the fanboys, for, and, nor, but, or, yet, and so, right? Do you remember what those were? Can you tell me?
The fanboys.
Yes.
F for could be because.
Exactly.
And A for and.
Yes.
Can I make it in not in order?
Yes, of course.
Yes, B, but.
Okay.
Mm, O is R.
Yes.
S is so.
Mhm.
I think. Which one is missing?
The end.
N.
Yes.
N is for negative. I remember. I don't remember. Oh, nor.
No, there you go. Perfect. So
Yes.
yeah.
And here we change the order, right?
Yeah. With the fanboys, you can never change the order. You
Yes.
can never say and. But here with the subordinating conjunctions, you can change the order. Now there
Okay.
are many of them. We're not gonna go over them because it's not necessary to do that. What you need to
Okay.
remember is the structure. So when they are at the beginning of the sentence, like because it rained, or as the police officer turned his head, or due to the fact that she's mad at me, when they are at the beginning, so that is when the complement of the sentence is at the beginning, what we said here, like this one, right? As the police officer turned his head,
Mm-hmm.
so if it's at the beginning, or because it rained yesterday,
Mm-hmm.
the complement or the subordinating conjunction is at the beginning, we use a comma. If it's at the middle, we don't. We say because we say the hiking was slow, slippery, and dangerous
Because
because it rained yesterday. No comma.
no con.
The same here. Okay. Now that's it. There's nothing else to say. The thing about this is that there are a couple of exceptions. We're gonna see what those are. So these are the exceptions. So when you have these words, even if the word is at the beginning, I'm sorry, if it's at the middle of the sentence, we still need to use a comma, only when we have these words. So basically you use a comma every time you use one of these words. It doesn't matter if it's at the beginning or at the middle. For example, you could say, I don't know, I don't like, okay, let's change the sentence. Maybe Bolivia didn't win because we don't. So here, even though the conjunction is at the middle, and I'm not supposed to use a comma because I'm not changing the order of things, right? I still need to use it because it's an exception. Do you know what as means?
I believe you didn't win. ¿Cómo?
It means comma in other contexts. As
Yeah.
a conjunction, it means because. It's another word for because. Now I can.
Sorry, and the meaning of as if.
That's like como si,
Como.
right, in Spanish. So it's different. That's not a conjunction, only as.
Mm-hmm.
So do you know what since means as a conjunction?
It's not because? No. Yes?
Yeah, it is because. As a conjunction, right? When you have the word since, like desde, that's another thing.
Uh-huh.
But here it's a conjunction, so it's because. I could say, Bolivia didn't win, even if it has. So do you know what even if means?
Incluso sí.
Exactly. So even if or even when it has such good players, both.
So in the second example, when do I realize that it is these exceptions are for the conjunction?
I mean, what do you mean?
Yeah, when I realize that since is because and not desde.
Oh, okay. So first thing you'll notice that you have a comma before the word.
Okay.
And if it's just a speaking context, right? It's not the same thing. Bolivia didn't win since 2000, since it doesn't have such good players.
Okay. Yes, that's way different.
You could use two since. Then while, which basically means mientras, it's still the same. So Bolivia didn't. While. Okay.
Mientras que
So while, I mean, all of this, the three of them mean the same. So while, where, and whereas, they all mean opposition. So two things that are different from each other. So Bolivia didn't go to the World Cup where Brazil did. Or Bolivia didn't go to the World Cup whereas Brazil did. So while, where, whereas, it means as conjunctions, they mean, you know, it's like to express opposition. For example, I'm getting fat while you're getting in shape. So you have two opposite ideas, right? Getting fat and getting in shape are two different ideas.
okay.
Or I'm gaining weight where you're getting in shape, or whereas you're getting in shape. So the three of them mean exactly the same.
There is no difference between these three.
No difference. Usually, while is the most common,
Yes.
probably informal one. and whereas will be the most formal one. And then we have this wonderful word here, though. Do you know what it means?
I heard this a lot.
Yeah, it is.
You said this a lot.
I said it's what?
A lot.
It means a lot?
No. I said that you said this. You say this word a lot.
Do I?
Yes.
Okay, I never realized, but probably it's because the thing about this word is that you can use it basically in the beginning of the sentence, at the middle, or at the end. And the very best use of this sentence, the best one, is that you can use it at the end, which is something that you cannot do in Spanish, you know? That's why it's something that we should have in Spanish, but we don't. So let's look at this.
What will be the meaning of this? Because you always put it at the end.
Yeah, because that's the most common use, to be honest. So, okay, so for example.
Entonces, más o menos.
No, not at all. It depends on where it is. So if it's at the beginning of the sentence, like, do I like soccer? I'm not a fan. So here, what do you think it means?
But? No.
No, not really. Kind of, but not so much.
It is like, I don't know how to say it, but so I like soccer. Como que me gusta el fútbol, pero no soy fan del
Yes,
fútbol.
you could say, I like soccer, but I'm not a fan. Yeah, that's another way to say it. But here it means like, even though, like, aunque, right? Even though I like soccer, I'm not a fan. So, aunque. Right?
But you're not using even though, you're using just so.
You could use both of them. When it's at the beginning or in the middle, they mean the same. So though or even though are the same.
And at the end.
Okay, so
No?
hold on. You could say, I like soccer, but I'm not a fan. And it again, it's just even though it's a bit more exaggerated, maybe it has the even, and it's like, it would be like incluso aunque, kind of, but it's like to emphasize that you do like soccer, but you're not a fan. So now when it goes at the end, that's when it means but. So you say, I like soccer, I'm not a fan. So, right? So you say, I like soccer, but I'm not a fan. There's no way to translate this directly because you cannot use pero at the end, right? You cannot say, me gusta el fútbol, no soy un fan, pero, right? But in English you can, with though.
So we can use both of them. So we can use but and though in the same sentence.
Some people do, but it's incorrect. So I do that myself. Like, you're gonna hear it too. So you could say, I like soccer, but I'm not a fan, though. So this is incorrect, grammarly speaking, but people do it a lot. And it's because it's kind of like an emphasis, you know, though is very common.
Yes.
Usually at the end, more than at the beginning and at the middle, it's more common at the end. It's kind of the same as but. So the thing is that since it goes at the end, it's really useful, right? Because sometimes you ask something or you think something and then you add the though. It's like, seriously though, you know? Or are you sure though? So it's like, but are you sure? So yeah, it means but. Some people are gonna do this, use the two of them. I mean, if you want to sound native, you can do it, but it's not correct. So it's just better to say though. And when you write it, I don't know if you've ever seen this on TikToks or Instagram, and that means though, right? It's exactly the same. It's like the abbreviation of the word. So though.
Yes, I think I saw.
And when, I mean, right now, because of social media, it's like a disclaimer, right? So I don't know, like somebody saying something, maybe, I don't know, this person is such a bad singer. And then somebody will say, look at the hair though, or but the hair though. And it's like, disclaimer, you know, he has good hair. So it's bad.
Mhm.
Yeah. But right now, speaking of exceptions, the thing is that when you use it at the middle, even though you wouldn't be supposed to, you have to use it. You have to use a comma with though as well. So Bolivia didn't win, though it had good players.
Mhm.
So those are some exceptions. And those are the only words that you need, that require you to use a comma when they are at the middle. Then all of the other ones, you don't have to. So I'll finish this before I go. You don't say comma before I go, or after I go, or until, by the time, whenever, while, unless.
So this is when you don't have to use a comma.
Yes, I mean, generally speaking, with all of the subordinate conjunctions, you're not supposed to use a comma when it's at the middle. And these are the exceptions to that rule. So when you have these ones, you do have to use a comma when it's at the middle, even if it's at the middle.
Okay.
Any questions?
No, I don't think so.
Okay. So I'm gonna send you this presentation, I mean, this
Yes.
document. And here you have like a summarized view of all of that. And then the next final thing, and this is quite easy in terms of grammar, is just memorize the expressions. We have transitions. Now transitions are also connectors. So they join different ideas. But the thing about transitions is that they join maybe longer or more complete ideas or thoughts. They can even join paragraphs, right? You can start your first paragraph of your body paragraph with the word, I don't know, to start. And then you have your full paragraph there. And in the next one, you're gonna say, furthermore, and for the final one, maybe for your conclusion, you're gonna say, to wrap it up. So transitions make your writing look more organized. They make your writing look more, I mean, they show the connection between the ideas. So if you say nevertheless, you're showing contrast between two ideas. Or if you're saying likewise, you're comparing them. So transitions are a big thing in, well, everywhere, basically. Sometimes you use it when you speak to, even though it's not that common. Sometimes you just say, and. But if you speak with transitions, it shows vocabulary. And like when you're having a debate, you're gonna hear a lot of transitions in there. So they make your speaking and your writing a lot richer than without them. So
This is just memorize.
it's just
Memorize.
memorizing them.
Yes.
The thing is that you have plenty of synonyms for just the same thing. I don't know why. It's not the same in Spanish, right? Like, for example, when you want to say, for example, in English, you could say, for example, for instance, illustrating, exemplifying, to illustrate. But in Spanish, you just have, por ejemplo, and maybe, I don't know, what else?
Caso,
I'm sorry?
en este caso.
Okay, but that's not the same as saying, for example, right? En este caso is in that case or in this case. So I don't know why, but there are plenty of transitions that you can use and they all mean the same. So to add something in addition is exactly the same as additionally, furthermore, also, moreover, plus, on top of that, besides. So it's exactly the same.
Wow.
To say, I mean, we can summarize this. To add is basically and, right? Then to state result, this is so. So instead of saying,
Así que.
yeah, instead of saying like, I like soccer, so I'm going to go to this match, you can say, I like soccer, therefore I'll go there. So therefore as a result, so it's just so. To state facts is actually. Actually, it's also transition, but it's so common that it's kind of, it's not that formal anymore. To compare, that's just likewise, I would say. I don't know, maybe in the same way, you know, it's like de la misma manera. So, yes. Then to contrast is but.
But.
So I like coffee, but I don't like chocolate. I like coffee, however, I don't like chocolate. Or nevertheless, nonetheless, on the other hand, the same.
To conclude?
In conclusion. So it's basically when you're writing a conclusion or you want to sum everything up, like, okay, so bottom line is like the final thing, the summary in conclusion. So to illustrate is just for example. I don't think there's another word for that. So for example, there are more actually. I mean, to illustrate itself, that's a transition. So to illustrate is the same as for example.
For example, for instance.
You have more exemplifying, illustrating, to illustrate. Then to list something, so this is for sequence of events, right? First, second, third. So first of all, a bit more casual would be maybe for starters. So for starters, second, third, lastly. And to continue is when you have, again, a sequence of events, but it's like after. Well, it depends, right? Because meanwhile is in the meantime, afterward is after. So yeah. After or in the meantime.
And another way to say in conclusion.
In short, where's in conclusion?
No,
okay.
no, it's just a question.
Okay, so in conclusion, all of these are in conclusion. So to sum up,
yes, conclude, yes, sorry.
you can also say in short.
In short, what's the meaning?
It's in conclusion, so in short. Usually the most formal ones would be to sum up, in conclusion, in short. Summarizing doesn't sound so good, honestly. Finally, too, yeah, it's a bit.
To meanwhile after. Translator. No. What's the meaning of notwithstanding?
Notwithstanding, it's but, however, the same.
The
Like,
same.
sin embargo, I don't know. What's another word? No obstante?
No, sí.
Yeah.
And indeed.
Indeed. Okay, indeed it's an interesting one. It could mean different things. Like here is just a synonym of in fact. In fact, indeed are the same when you're using transitions. But you can also use it when you agree with something. You know, I don't know if you've ever heard that, but it's like if I say, I don't know, this is the book, this is the best book ever. And you want to say, yeah, I agree, you can say, yeah, indeed.
De hecho.
In this case, it's like definitely, totally, absolutely, indeed. It sounds formal, but it's also common in spoken language. It sounds a bit British, but it is common. I've heard it a lot. So indeed. But here it just means in fact. So you could say, for example, maybe, I don't know, this is the best book I've read. I don't know, this is the best book okay, from this author. And then you can say, indeed, is the best book from any author. So it's like you're adding something, you know, you're kind of, you could say, this is the best book from this author. In fact, it's the best book from any other author. Or actually, you're kind of correcting what you already said or explaining it a bit more. So.
Indeed, it always have to be in the beginning of the sentence.
No, not really. You could say it's the best. It depends. When you say it's the best book from any author, indeed, it means like definitely. So when you use it at the end, like in this case or in this case, you're agreeing with somebody. So if you say, this is the best book ever, and I'm going to say, yeah, it's the best book ever indeed. So it's like, definitely.
De hecho, es un buen libro. O algo así.
Yes, kind of. So indeed. Let's look up the translation, because I'm not sure what it will be. So, I don't know. I think en efecto would be more. Or look at this, verdaderamente. So when you agree with somebody, so when you say, yeah, truly or really, it's like, those are some translations.
But Google Translator is not good. You used to translate in Lingui. Yeah.
Yeah, it's a lot better because it gives you the context.
The
So
context. Yeah.
Yeah, like for example here, I'm allergic to milk, and indeed I cannot eat cheese. So it's like actually here.
De hecho.
Or look at this. This offer is indeed a great opportunity. So this is really a great opportunity. You're right.
En efecto.
Like efectivamente, maybe. Right? So you say something and I say, yeah, efectivamente. So yeah, indeed.
Yes, indeed, that's true.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So, and when you answer something, see, right? So indeed. So that's true.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Now, That's for the meaning. Now the grammar, the good thing about this is that there are no exceptions at all. So it's simple to use transitions in terms of grammar and punctuation. So you got two options when you have transitions. So you could say, for example, I don't know, maybe, okay, or thus. Okay, let's say she ate out. Okay, so she didn't find anything to eat, thus she ate out. So it means so, right? So she ate out. So this is one way to use a transition. You need to, first thing, it needs to, well, it doesn't need to, but for now, let's just say that it needs to, well, when you're, okay, so let's talk about this. This does here is connecting two clauses, right?
Mm-hmm.
Connecting this clause here and this other clause here. Now, are those independent or dependent clauses?
Sure. Independent classes.
Exactly. So transitions can join two
Yeah.
independent clauses, two sentences, or two paragraphs. Okay. So in this case, it is joining actually not two independent clauses, it's joining two sentences, right? Because here you have a period. So when you have a period, that means that this is a sentence, right? So it's joining two sentences in this case.
Yes.
Now, when it joins two independent clauses, it will be something like this. She didn't find anything to eat, semicolon, thus she ate out. Now it's joining two independent clauses.
She didn't find anything to eat. Thus she ate.
So now look at the grammar part.
It's just a comma instead of period.
Now it's a semicolon, right?
Oh, yes, semicolon.
Remember, if it's two independent clauses, you
Uh-huh.
always need to use, if and you don't have and a fanboy, so you need to use a semicolon or a period. So it's the same here. You need to use a period or a semicolon. And after the transition, you always 100% of the time need a comma. Every time you use a transition, after the transition, you have to use a comma.
Mm-hmm.
Or you can separate two paragraphs, right? You have, she didn't find anything to eat, as, I don't know, there was nothing left. I don't know, there were leftovers, and then you have a long paragraph. And after explaining the whole thing, you have thus she went to. So it can also join two paragraphs. Of course, here you have a period and capital letters, so it will be like the beginning of the paragraph, right? Thus. So it's kind of the same as this one here. The only difference is that you are separating the paragraphs. So you're just putting enter and it's two paragraphs now.
Mm-hmm.
So you can join two independent clauses when you have a semicolon. It could join two sentences when you have a period, or two paragraphs when it's in different paragraphs. But no matter what it is, you always need to use a comma after the transition.
Mm-hmm.
So an independent clause, a semicolon, the transition, comma, and the independent clause.
Yes.
No exceptions. So let me see. Okay, I want to see an essay. Probably have something here. Okay. Maybe this one here. It's an example of an essay. And as you can see, well, it has some corrections because it was, well, it was somebody's essay. But the thing is, if you look at how this person is using transitions, she's using it every time you have a new paragraph. So secondly, the reading argues that finally, first of all, or first. So you're probably gonna use a transition every time you're moving on to a different paragraph, because if you don't use a transition, I don't know, it kind of loses the flow. It doesn't sound that good. So, and this is gonna be for everything. Like if we look for an essay, maybe, I don't know, maybe on social media. So it's either a transition or any kind of phrase. I don't know why. We're gonna be looking at this when we see, you know, how to write essays and stuff, the content. But usually every time you start a paragraph, you either put a transition in there or any phrase, any complement phrase that could be changing the structure. Like for example, look at this. In the first one, when we look at the positive aspect of social media, comma, so it's not a transition, but it's changing the order, right? It has like an intro to the sentence.
Yes.
When we look at the positive aspect of social media, we find numerous advantages. Moreover, a transition, comma, live lectures are now possible. So furthermore, comma, as more and more people are distancing themselves. In addition, comma, it strengthens bonds with your loved ones. Most importantly, it's a transition, comma, it also provides a great platform for young people.
These words are for connection.
Yes, they show connection. So they show that this is adding to this idea, that this is adding to this idea, and that this is like the most important idea. Now, you could have many types of transitions. Like, let's see that here they're talking about live lectures and how they are possible because of social media. So this is an advantage, right? Now, if you want to introduce a disadvantage of social media, you cannot say furthermore because it's supposed to be adding something. So you need to add a transition to contrast the idea. So you're gonna say, nevertheless, social media has these disadvantages. So they probably do this here. Let me show you. Okay, so well, they don't have, however, anything because they have like a title, disadvantages of social media. Despite having such unique advantages, so, but in the case it will be in the same set of paragraphs, you would have another one. So let's look for another one. Maybe this one here. Okay. So Okay, look at this. So disadvantages, since these are the advantages, so it's one idea. So you're talking about the good, the bright side of social media. And then when you want to introduce the bad side of it, you need to contrast. So however, social media has caused addiction. So yeah, this one here is not an essay, it's in bullet points, but yes. Generally speaking, they help you have it more organized. They help you with style, and they also help you with showing the connection between ideas. So it's a really good thing to use.
And to put an order in your essay or
Yeah, exactly. So in general, connectors, transitions, any type of connectors, they are always helpful. It's a good thing to.
any type of connection words, we use a comma.
I mean, with transitions.
Only with transitions. Yes.
Only with transitions. With the other ones, we have different rules. With this one here, remember, you only use a comma if it's at the beginning of the sentence,
Yes.
except when you have these ones with asterisk. So those are the exceptions.
Uh-huh.
And with the fanboys, you always use a comma before the fanboy, right? Those are the connectors.
Can you share this document, please, with me?
Yes, I will. Maybe I can send it to you right now.
Thank you.
Okay, then. So now, do you have any questions for what we've seen? Okay.
No, I don't think so. I mean, it's clear, like I said every time, it's clear in the class, but then I do the homework and
Yes.
yes, with practice.
Yeah. But the good thing is that since, well, we don't have like that sort of practice anymore.
Yes, I know.
So now you're just gonna be doing some writing. Okay. So what we will do, I mean, what you will do is an essay on this. Okay, maybe I can send it to you here. So the prompt will be our lifestyle now is a lot easier than the ones our grandparents had. So that's the prompt.
Our lifestyle.
So it refers to, I'm gonna write it maybe here. Okay. So it refers to whether you think or not that the way we live now is better or easier than the way that our grandparents or maybe grandparents used to live in the past. So do you think that life right now is easier than what it was? Or maybe you don't agree with this, maybe you think the opposite, maybe you think that life right now is harder than it was before. So I won't really be evaluating that much the content, but still it would be nice if you can, I don't know, like maybe express some ideas that you have, maybe look up some information and Basically, you need to tell me whether you agree or disagree with this, and obviously why. So you need to have an intro, 2 or 3 body paragraphs. If you want, you can do more, but I would say that's, it's not going to be necessary. Right now, I'm going to be looking at punctuation more than anything. And of course, a conclusion. So it's going to be just something simple. Don't worry if it's not perfect or if you don't really know what to say in the intro or the conclusion. Just write whatever you feel like writing. As I was saying, I'm not going to be evaluating content that much. It's more about punctuation and grammar and transitions, connectors, that sort of thing. So don't worry about the content. Just try to say how you feel about this.
Okay.
So, and it's due Friday.
Friday.
Yes.
Okay.
So, do you have any questions about that assignment?
No. We didn't check the parts of an essay.
No, we didn't yet. So that's what I'm saying. Generally speaking, what you need to have in the intro, your answer to this question. So you need to, in direct words, tell me how you feel. So I believe that our lifestyle is not easier than it was. So you need to tell me what your position is. So what do you think about this topic? And you need to have like a sort of transitional phrase where you tell me, and I'm going to be explaining this in this paragraph or in these paragraphs, right? That's it. The body paragraphs, this is when you explain why. So here you need to use some arguments, reasons that you have, ideas. So maybe you're saying it is easier. So you can tell me, so first, we have technology now. And you explain, right? And you can say our grandparents didn't have access to the internet that we do right now. And therefore, I don't know, the educational system is now more loaded with different tools that we can use. So you just explain your idea there. Then you can maybe add another idea, I don't know. And your conclusion is a summary of everything you said. So your conclusion is like, I don't know, having seen that, I don't know, we have more technology, we have this and that. And then you again tell me what your position is. So I really believe that this is the way that it is.
Okay.
So that's like the structure of a very basic type of essay. But as I was saying, it's not so much about content, it'll be more about grammar. So don't worry.
Yes, or the transition words.
Transitions, connectors, and punctuation, what we've seen.
Okay.
And I will check this, by the way. I'll do it.
Okay. Please let me know which are my mistakes, so I can.
I will do it in the same document so that you can see it.
Okay, thank you. Yes, thank you.
In the survey.
Okay. I think this is it's harder than the other grammar part.
Yeah, probably. But it's because it's the second to last module.
Yes, I think. Probably.
Okay.
Okay.
Thank you. I'll see you tomorrow.
Yeah, see you tomorrow.
Bye.
Bye.